How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Good Bit Podcast. It is a pleasure to have you with us this week. We really appreciate your time, and we're back this week for another scary film. It is scary movie season, ladies and gents, as we approach Halloween, the public holiday that we discovered last week when we chatted about John Carpenter's The Thing. Well, this week we have just as scary of a film, just as horror-y, is that a word, of a film. It is Sam Rami's classic from the early 80s. It is The Evil Dead, a first-time viewing for me, which was a very interesting one. Selected by my wonderful guest this week. It is my old agency mate, Kelly Davie. Kelly, it was lovely to see you recently when we bumped into each other at the theatre recently. When was that? A couple of weeks ago? No, it wasn't. It was almost a whole month ago, maybe more than a month now. I think it was over a month ago. Can you believe we're in October already? Again, scary movie season.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's been crazy. Like this year has went so fast as well. But yeah, it was really good to see you in the theatre because I was sitting in like the wee box and then I seen you from the distance. I was like, oh my god, hi! Because I feel like everyone can see you when you're in the box, like you're kind of on display. So I was like, how long is like these people? Like, and there was a few other people I recognised in the audience. I was like, oh, they've been like they can see me. But yeah, it was good to catch up and yeah, see how you were doing.
Yeah, it's happened to me twice now in the past year. I think it was Panto season last time at the Hamilton Townhouse, where and it is, it's quite a distance from the tiered seating bit of the Hamilton Townhouse and the stage.
Yeah.
And my mate Jack Dion was actually in that show, but my mate Jack Bishop and Maddie Grieve were like, there was Beauty and the Beast, right? So they were getting ready to start. You see it? Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah,
so
Jack was the Beast, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you know Jack? You know Jack, don't you?
Only from like, so I know Dion quite well, and I went to see that performance, and then I seen, well, just from the programme, I seen that he was the Beast, and then I was working in Impact Arts, and he was working the front of house, and I was like, "You're the Beast, hello!" And he was like, "All right, cool."
Can you sign an autograph for me?
Exactly.
So, I
think he was kind of like, "Cool, yeah."
I was like, "There's a fan here. We'll take a selfie." But so I was like right up at the top, and they were getting ready to start the show, and apparently they just turned around and they could just see me in the distance because I'm so tall. Like they just knew it was me, and I was like trying to fight for Pringles or something like that. And so it's actually twice has happened where someone spotted me from a distance because of my height, and then moments after that, I spilt my drink everywhere. So it was your fault. I'm blaming you.
All right, okay. No, I was there because so some of the kids from Imagine That Performing Arts were studying at the college and had got cast in Beauty and the Beast.
The ensemble,
so we went to support them. And they actually, like, I was supposed to be teaching a class. It was like I was doing panto as well. And I was supposed to be teaching a class like the last Friday of Christmas. And I was like, oh no, I'm still actually performing. So my boss like just booked a coach and brought like 55 of the kids to like my panto, which was like the most special thing I think I've ever experienced in my life, because I was like, I've not showed up for the class, so they've just brought them all in a bus to see me and like be my fans, and it was so great.
That's genuinely something out of like a Christmas film. You know what I mean? Like you'd see that in like Love Actually or something like that. We're all gonna go and see Kelly. So
yeah,
that's
the feeling that I got as well, like, because I don't come on stage for quite a while, and my first line was like off stage, and I just shout "Mammy," and they just like erupted, like they just knew it was me. And like, I remember my prince Maury Christian, she was like that on my back, like, oh, because I was like, oh my god, what a feeling! It was like I was bloody Harry Styles coming out or something. Honestly, like it was so cool.
I love that. And those will be memories that will stick with you. Do you know what I mean? Like those wee moments that you'll remember. So I did see you at the Pavilion Theatre in Glasgow, and it was for singing "I'm No a Billy, She's a Tim," which is a very classic kind of Glasgow play involving a Rangers fan and a Celtic fan. That there's like a slight rivalry in Scotland between the teams, and it's about a fan of both teams get stuck in a jail cell together, and how it's actually not all about football life, and how they can actually be friends. And I've always liked it because I've got plenty of really close friends that are Celtic fans. I'm a Rangers fan. We always kind of got together and we were still friends and watched the games together and stuff. So I've never been someone that's been into like the rivalry and we must hate the opposition and stuff like that. So I always like to play. And then seeing that one of my best friends, Dion, was going to be in the show, and then I met her co-star at the Fringe a couple of months prior. She just broke the news to me that she was in this show with my pal. So that was a nice wee kind of full circle moment. We were getting to go see this play, and then I saw you from across the whole theatre sitting in your mad MVP VIP box because you were the understudy in case you had to jump on and if someone was sick. How was that process? being
It
an
was so
understudy.
cool. Like I was just so chuffed I was in the program as well. I was like, did you see me? But yeah, the girls were amazing. Like they were so brilliant to work with. Like the whole team was brilliant. So it was such a female heavy rehearsal room, which was lovely. And
Yeah.
then we were working with Jerry Taylor as well, who was directing it. We were the first female cast, which was so exciting. So felt like really privileged to be a part of it. But it was just mad. Like I didn't really know. I've never done an understudy gig before, so I
Right.
didn't really know what was expected of me, what to kind of bring on day one. And I think the only way I could get it straight in my head was like to act as if like no, like just treat it as if like you're not understudying and you're going on.
Yeah.
And be as prepared as you possibly can for the moments that you do get up in the room. But it was very much like we were in the rehearsals for 6 days, I think the understudies were in for, which was quite a lot. But the gals only had 10 days.
It's
I
crazy,
think it
man.
was like 10 days, which is just mental because it's so dialogue heavy. Like, my God. And like the characters kind of go round in circles sometimes with each other on their arguments.
Yeah.
So you could easily like go back to like scene one or like go to the end. It was really crazy. So me and Kathleen, who was playing Billy's understudy and I was
Yeah.
Tim's understudy, we would any moment we could get together, we would just go outside and be like try to drill these lines. But I mean, we might not have got to perform together, or it could have
Right.
been any way. So I've never felt so scared. Like I felt extremely unprepared. Like if I did have to go on, just because we didn't do it. You know what I mean? It was like,
Yeah,
oh my God, what
totally.
would happen? So I think it would have been so exciting, but like the most terrifying thing, and that audience hold no prisoners. My
Right.
God. Like if I didn't know every like sectarian song or, like
Yeah.
they know it. It's in their blood, like in the community. So you need to know your football in this show, I think. So I did not know much about football, but I,
Right.
I feel like I could have a little conversation. I mean, not right now, like, but just after the
Great.
Rangers game.
Let's do
But
it.
yeah, I feel like I understand some of the references now, and
Yeah.
I know the Rangers songs and the Celtic songs. I don't know if that's something to be proud of, but yeah, it's something we
I
learned.
know.
So
Listen, it's pop culture knowledge. Just take it like that.
exactly,
Don't back
exactly.
out.
That's what
No,
I'm
I
going to tell
know.
everyone.
Like that theatre, so and it's the target audience, right? So it's the Pavilion Theatre, which is a variety theatre, right?
Yeah,
To those who don't know, in Glasgow. And I used to work there front of house. And
yeah,
honestly, some of the sights you'd see, some of the people you'd see,
yeah,
and some of the shows that would be there. And that's kind of the charm of the theatre, though. It's like one
yeah.
week it's a Rod Stewart tribute act. The next night it is literally a hypnotist. Then it's,
Hmm.
3 weeks straight of panto, including New Year's Day. And then we had once when I was working for a house, it was like an anti-COVID show. Like someone that was like pro, like, oh yeah, like COVID's fake and stuff like that, like as a show.
Yeah.
And we had like the audience like cheering it and stuff like that. Like it was like a cult meeting or something. Like it was utter nuts. And just being there every night and seeing something different was crazy. So I knew what the audience was going to be like. It actually kind
Mhm.
of like not didn't shock me, but it was a bit more intense than I was expecting because of the
Yeah.
passion. You know what I mean? This is people's livelihood. They take it so seriously. I thought I took
Yeah.
it seriously. You know what I mean? And just you see this, you see the responses, and the fact that the audience break into song, like in the
Oh my
middle of
God.
someone
No.
else's performance, is crazy, man.
Yeah, and also like I think it's like one of those events where you could be sitting right next to
Hmm.
like a Celtic or Rangers fan. It was just totally random. It's not like at the game where you're separated, and we
Right,
had like an old firm happening the Sunday as well,
that's
right
right.
after it. It was like a crucial time. And like I was buzzing about the pavilion because like for years I'm like, how do you get an audition there? How do you even
Yeah,
like what it's so like it seems so difficult to like kind of get a foot in the door. So when the auditions came up for this, I was like buzzing and I was like, oh my God, this is like a pure rite of passage in Glasgow.
yeah,
And I love that kind of audience because they are like some of them aren't maybe like very traditional theatre going audiences
that's
that
it.
you're used
Yeah,
to, but that's who I like to perform to, like
right.
different communities and just people that are like just going to try something different. But yeah, I mean, they were lively as well. There was some moments where I was like, oh, this is,
Whoa. I know, and it was lively, but I mean, it's kind of like Panto too, right? Like the
yeah,
type of audience that you're going to get, it's not a theatre audience, it's like you're going to sit and clap at the end of the interval and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So, yeah, no, really, really enjoyed the show. Glad I didn't see you, but if you didn't know the script, maybe it was for the better. But
My direction. I knew every word. I just felt a bit frightened. But
I know you
yeah,
did. I
no,
know you did. I believe you.
maybe in the future, who knows? But it was a privilege to be part of it anyway.
That's good. And speaking of that, like we were both a member of the same acting agency for a couple of years, actually. Bridges, the acting agency, or the actors agency, I've forgotten the name already, which is Edinburgh based. And again, we didn't really. I think it was through COVID and stuff that we were kind of working together. If we had to work remotely or whatever together, that's probably the extent of it. But I think I sat in on your audition to join the agency, maybe. But
Yeah.
I've never properly seen you like in all your glory. But you've always been really busy and stuff. What kind of got you started? What made you want to be a performer? Was it something you did from a young age? And then in terms of like trying to get agents and stuff, how did you find the kind of process of going from
Oh God.
aspiring performer to having an
Yeah.
agent?
Yeah. I didn't really like I wanted to be a rock star actually, like
Nice one.
like play guitar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I started off with music at secondary school
Hmm.
and then they only started drama at my standard grade times. So I didn't get the option to like test it out in first and second. But then I took it as an option, just
Hmm.
like I don't know why, to be honest. It was just like, I'm doing music, we'll try that. Like it wasn't like a pure gunning passion at the time, and I was awful as well. I remember the first day, like my drama teacher made me do like this improvisation, and I just wanted to die. It was just like horrific. Um, so I don't know when it turned around.
I was kind of the same. Like I wasn't going to pick it, you know what I mean? Then I
Uh-huh.
just did by chance. Can you just imagine you didn't pick it? I sometimes think
I
about
know,
that. Like how
I know,
random that would have been.
because that's literally like after. So I stayed on to fifth year, and I left in fifth year and went straight into HND acting and performance
Hmm.
at Stowe. So it was Stowe West College at the time, like kind of near Botanic Gardens. But I think it's moved now to Springburn or something. I don't think they do that course, or it's all merged now. Um, so yeah, I went like straight into college, and then I was applying to the conservatoire forever. Um, so every year I didn't get into the conservatoire, I would do like another course or another degree or
Right.
whatever. So it took me 7 years. So I've got another degree in performance and a master's in theatre practices, and then I did the MA at the conservatoire, which I'm like, sorry, my chair's all squeaky. But yeah, so oh, it's still doing it. I'm sorry. Is
That's
that
all right.
really
That's all
distracting?
right. Just don't fall. I just don't want you injured yourself.
Yeah, so did loads of training for years because I wanted to learn so much about it and
Yeah.
figure it out. And in between those times studying, I was always hustling and trying to get an agent and trying to get work, and it was so difficult. Spent like maybe 10 years trying to get an agent,
Yeah.
and I tried it every way. Like I've done the one-liners, I've done the like essays, I've done the let's go on a coffee date vibe. Like
Right.
I've pure tried it, and then I've done the pure bad like rogue CC and everybody into the same one, and like getting responses from people saying, "We like to feel special, Kelly," and you've just sent that to like 54 people. And I pure
Oh
brass
no.
neck that one. I was like, I'm really sorry, that was an accident. You weren't supposed to see it. Would you still consider me? And they were like, okay, send me a self tape. So I sent her a self tape, and then she said, nah, we're full.
No.
Okay, this nerd. So yeah, a lot of kind of brass neck things and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then Bridges had came to see me at my showcase at the Conservatoire, and I had almost signed with a London-based agent at the time. So I kind of took a step back from Bridges, and then I approached them again, being like, "No, yous are really what I'm looking for, actually."
Yeah.
And I love it. Like I love the transparency of it.
Yeah.
And I love that we're the only co-op in Scotland. I feel like that's really special, and it's good to have the support of like such a big group of people as well.
That's it. The support was my biggest thing. Like I love the fact that we were in like a wee community, you know what I mean? And if you needed anything,
Mm.
there was always like, I don't know how many it was at the time, but like when I was there, about 16 people or something were able to get back to me, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
be able to help me out with something that I just always felt as if I was like, I just wanted to check with people to make sure I was doing the right thing because I didn't want to let anybody down. You know what I mean? Because I
yeah,
liked everybody so much, you know, I just didn't want
yeah,
like something to be my fault, essentially, you know what I mean? But it's such
yeah,
a cool way of working as well, having that kind of support system in place, you know what I mean? That cooperative nature of it, you know.
yeah.
I'd love to do a big play, like just of all the Bridges members, and just we could have
Same.
written something and made a film or something. I don't know, that would have been fun.
We should do that because it's funny, like you're representing each client and stuff like that, and you want to
Yeah,
see them in every kind of different way performing. So we should just do that. Oh, we should take it out the budget. Let's see.
it's a good idea. Well, also we did a thing one time when I first joined, or maybe maybe when I first joined, maybe when you joined, I can't remember, but it was we had to went to like the offices in Edinburgh, and we all kind of like went up and stood in front of everybody. We didn't do a monologue or anything like that, but we just stood there, and each member wrote stuff about each other, like what they get from you, sort of thing. What would your casting be?
Yeah.
And I always thought that was really interesting, like just from that first walking in the room, like what do you get from someone? That's such a
Yeah.
big thing, you know?
That's so beneficial because I think we don't know how to do that about ourselves at all.
Yeah,
It's weird,
absolutely.
like when you're staring at your own headshot and like I don't know, like I guess you're looking at the ones you think you look nicest in and stuff like
Right.
that potentially. But then I'm like, is this like my period drama one? Is this my This Is England one? It's really hard to judge because sometimes I'm like, yeah, this is my period drama one, and people are like, oh no, this is you like playing a cop, and I'm like, what?
Like what? No, I
Okay.
know, I know. I just think headshots are so hard too because they end up after you look at them for so long, they all look the same, and like how do you make a
Hmm.
difference between them? And that's why I speak to like young as people who are just out of like drama college and stuff like if they're trying to get an agent straight away, like as you say, like it takes a long time. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
happen overnight. Like that's the best case scenario.
Hmm.
But it means you need to audition loads of times and contact people and make those relationships and stuff. Another good thing about the Bridges agency is that you're kind of able to make
Hmm.
relationships and network in that sort of way. You know what I mean? So, any young actors listening, please do not be deterred. It will happen.
I know. I
Yeah.
want to hear more stories as well of like the people that are pure hustling for a long
Mhm.
time because I think sometimes it's easy to get disheartened when it's like if it's like a drama school or something, it's like, yeah, that person just went like rocketed and
Right.
you do hear those stories and that's fantastic. But like let's talk about the people that are like pure grinding and like
Yeah.
climbing and it takes some time. I think, yeah, just staying like motivated and not giving up's the wrong word, I think,
No, I
because
know.
I hate that now when it's like people have decided to do other things for some time and that's
As if
not
you've
giving up.
given up.
That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's not the
like
case at
living your
all.
life and having a good quality of life and being able to pay bills. Like
Exactly. What are some of your kind of favorite things that you've done as an actor then? So if it was sorry, I interrupted you, but you were talking about when you were in school and you weren't going to do it immediately, and then you did your first thing and it was really, really bad. What was the first thing you did? What was it? Was it how was it so bad?
I'd always just had a think because like it wasn't really like it was the first time drama was introduced to the school, so no one really knew what they were doing, and
Right.
like the community wasn't really into drama, I guess you might say. So it was like this weird like Treasure Island pirate thing, and I was like bringing the bag of gold, and they just said, "Right, on you go and do it," and I was just horrific. Like it just like actually still gives me anxiety thinking about it. Like that fear of just like melting into the floor and everyone just like kind of laughing at you, like
It's all
because if
part
you,
of it though, isn't it? It's all part of it, people laughing at you. You need to laugh at it.
I know, but like at the time it's like that meant everything, didn't it? When like people in
Exactly,
school
yeah.
laughing, whereas now it's like because like one person pure went for it and we were like and everyone like made fun of them for doing that, so it was like you were damned if you did and damned if you didn't.
Yeah.
And then I just wasn't very good at guitar, I think. Like I was doing classical guitar, like holding it up high and
Yeah.
like I was left-handed, but I wasn't playing left-handed guitar. And do you know what? See, I went to private lessons and if I stuck with it, I could have been brilliant. The guy taught me this thing called the G minor thang.
Oh,
And like
nice.
it was so fast. And if I could play it, I would have been like insanely incredible at guitar. But I was more like it was like like kind of slow.
Right.
So yeah, and then I don't know. We did what's the one everyone does at school? Like Tally's Blood.
Yeah,
We
Taste of
did
Honey.
yeah,
The
Against His Will.
Crucible.
Yeah, the Crucible, of course. I played Abigail in Higher, and I think that's when things shifted when I was like, oh, wait a minute. I just get Abigail there. And I also played Frenchie in Grease. We did a big production of Grease, and I was dying for Frenchie because I'm not that good a singer. I'm working on it. But so I was pure chuffed that I had like this kind of main part that wasn't a singer in a musical.
Yeah.
So I think after that I was like, yeah, this is everything.
It does do stuff to your confidence though. Do you know what I mean? Like when you get those roles
Hmm.
that you don't think you're going to get. Like it happened to me in school too. My final ever school show was the Adams Family.
Hmm.
And I got Gomez, so the dad of the family,
Right.
the main character. I can't sing at all. You know what I mean? But like my teacher was like, "Oh no, but it'll be fine because like you're really confident and like really outgoing,
Mhm.
and you're going to have an accent, so it'll be fine." So
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
to come up with this kind of like European accent, I guess. Um,
Uh-huh.
I don't think he was kind of Italian, wasn't he? I guess so. And I think so. So I came up with whatever this accent was. So I kind of got through the songs because of that. But
Yeah,
then I listened back to the video and stuff, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm so glad I didn't hear this before I did the show. Because
yeah,
like with such a nice confidence booster that I got it in the first place. So it's always a good
yeah.
starting point, I suppose, when you do it in school. I always feel bad for people who don't do drama in school. Like,
I
why don't they
know.
do it?
I love it. Like I'm working with kids a lot just now, and I'm just like, even if because I was, I'm like, I want you to want to be an actor,
Yeah,
like at that young age. But even if that's not what they want, like the confidence that it builds, like the people skills and
absolutely.
being able to stand up and talk, like that is such a hard thing to do. And like, I just think it's amazing. I love it so much.
I
I think
know.
it's
I was
amazing.
so shy. I was so shy earlier in school and just didn't really speak to people outside my friend group and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
just by doing that subject really kind of like made me more confident and outgoing and social and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, And just another example, I don't even know if I can talk about this, but I also work with kids as like a kind of day job thing. I work for a university and I go and visit schools and we talk about their aspirations and stuff. And I was speaking to
Brilliant.
someone the other day who wanted to be an actor. So I was like, great, now I can I can properly just answer the questions and kind of relate to my own experiences and stuff. And the student said, the school asked me to pick my dream tea date, like 3 people that I could bring to have tea with, right? And I said, who did she say? I think she said Karen Gillan, her gran, and the student's gran, not Karen Gillan's gran.
Yeah.
Karen Gillan, her gran, and a Scottish actress called Erin Caldwell, right? Who is in Six, the musical, right? She's like, oh, I
Right.
love her so much, and she's Scottish, and it's so aspirational. And I don't know if she knows that Karen Gillan's Scottish, and I'm going to assume her grand's Scottish as well. I was like, oh no, that's brilliant. Yeah, that sounds really, really good. And she's like, oh, but then the following week, the school called me down to the assembly hall, and I walked downstairs, and Erin Caldwell was sitting there waiting to have tea with me.
No way.
And I was like, no way. I was like, shut up. No way that
Oh,
like the school managed to organise that for this person. And
oh
apparently
my
she just
God,
did
that's amazing.
wonders for her confidence because she
Yeah.
had tea with like this celebrity or people that someone she
Uh-huh.
looked at in such a high regard and found out that she was just like her, just another person, just another Scottish lassie. And it was just like
I
this really informal thing. So
oh, I
I
love
think
that.
all schools should offer it and offer chances like that. Obviously, that's probably quite a well-off school compared to others, but still, it's still
Hmm.
a nice thing to do. So I thought that was a really cool story. Anyway, thought I'd share
Oh
it.
my God, that's amazing. Yeah, I love that.
Might need to cut
Oh.
it. Cool. So in terms of films, then, so sometimes I do forget that this is a movie podcast. What are some of your favourites? Obviously, we're going to talk about The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And when I asked you about favourite film stuff, I just did not expect um, early 80s horror. You know what I mean? I don't know why.
What did
What
you
are
expect?
I don't know. I don't know. I got kind of like maybe some late 90s kind of thrillers from you, but maybe not horror. But I don't know. I don't know if that's just the vibe you give off. What are
Yeah.
some of your other favourite films?
It's
And
all horror.
all horror.
I
Interesting.
think like no, I got a bit obsessed with horror. I think like the 80s kind of horrors and all that when I was growing up. And then so I just became a bit fanatical about it and like collector and so I
Yeah.
would have to watch them all and then have to love them all, even though, the sequels sometimes are a bit and then now I just kind of watch everything really. And I like a bit of like ridiculous trash TV as well. But in terms of movies, yeah, I think I've seen the majority of horror films.
Every horror film ever has been watched by Kelly Davie. But I totally agree with that though. I believe we owe it to people who make these things, like to watch everything. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
it's just there's no time. There's no time to watch
Hmm.
everything. But I just kind of want to know and have opinions on every film and every TV show and stuff. I just can't do
Yeah.
it. But yeah, it's a good way to kind of build favorites and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just watching back catalogs and stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot in this podcast that I really liked actually, like Scream, Home Alone as well, like
Yeah,
absolute classic. Because I was trying to think, like, when you say what's your favourite movies and then you can't think of a single movie.
yeah.
But I would say my top ones were like The Shining,
Hmm.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Dumb and Dumber, but only for like nostalgia. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it seemed to be like we watched it at Christmas all the time. Just the first one, I don't want to see the rest, but like, yeah,
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, The Shining and Dumb and Dumber are pretty much the same film. Uh,
exactly.
no, it's good to have a wee break from the genre that you like because sometimes I feel like even comedy, like if you watch loads of comedy, it gets a bit kind of samey after a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, The Shining, I've always said ever since I watched it for the first time, I'm going to say 2017, I watched it for the first time.
Mm.
Um, maybe the scariest film I've ever seen. Not because of jump scares and stuff, but just the way I was just watching, just like, oh my god, I'm so scared right now. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It's just an
he's
amazing
nuts.
film. Amazing film.
Yeah.
When's the first time you saw it?
Um, in the 90s. Well, I was okay. I was born in 91, so I'm like not pure like ancient or anything, but like, I remember the two twins,
Oh
like
man.
the image of that. Like I was really young, and like my mum and dad were watching it downstairs, and they told me to go upstairs, but I had walked in at that point,
Mhm.
and like the sound, I can hear it. I can actually hear it. It's a pure visual thing, and like them going from standing up to like down, like come play with us, Danny. Like it's that terrified me so
Yeah.
much. And then so I didn't watch it for a long time. And then when I watched it when I was older, I was like, God, this is so scary.
Mhm.
Like the sound of them and the wee wheels,
The
like
wheels, oh,
yeah,
I
cycling
mean,
round.
it's so scary. And I think just the idea of like empty, long corridors and hotels,
Mhm.
it's just scary anyway. And then you watch that film and it's like, can you just imagine turning the corner and seeing those two twins
Yeah.
there? You
And just
know?
how like I think like Kubrick kind of tortured her during it as well. Like,
Yeah,
that it didn't sound like the most pleasant filming experience either.
not at all. And
All in
then
the name of art.
Jack Nicholson's just going mental. Like,
Hmm.
I'm sorry, like, I understand, right? I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to be the character and method it and stuff like that. But in terms of how I was on the set with him, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, I wouldn't want someone being like that. I need the
I know.
connection. I need to work with you.
Me too. Like I would be like, I'm that person as well that totally needs that, like to get on with the other person or like
Yeah,
know that I'm safe with them and like they're going to look after me because then when they do crazy stuff like that, like I'm going to be comfortable and be able to deal with it. I don't necessarily think the whole method thing makes you like this incredible performer that it's so like that's really specific. Like
right.
I think no, like talk to me or else I'll think you don't like me or something.
Exactly. And I get it, what they're trying to do and stuff. And
Hmm.
if you're just completely committing to it, and sometimes it works, like Heath Ledger's Joker and things like that. Like
Hmm.
sometimes it works, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
In terms of the performance. But like I know what you mean. I'm the kind of guy that's like, I'm not a big drinker in any way, but I'd love to go for a pint with the whole cast, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To kind of get to know
Mhm.
them, or even just a coffee or something, just to kind of create that bond and stuff. I did a play
Definitely.
recently with loads of people that were like no like not actors. They were just there as a community theatre sort of thing. And there was
Uh-huh.
like one other actor on the set, and we were just feeling like we had to learn everybody's lines because we didn't have that relationship with people because we didn't sit there and speak to them, and they weren't actors and they didn't have experience
Yeah.
learning scripts and stuff, and it was actually really anxiety inducing because you're just worried something's going to go wrong. So no, I totally think we should create those relationships big time.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, do you remember the first time you ever went to the cinema, or is that like a faded memory in your head?
No, not at all.
Or even the first time you like watched a film or saw a film and you were like, oh, do you know what? This is actually class.
I remember, like, I have like one memory of the cinema with my friends growing up. We went to see Disturbia with Shia LaBeouf. Am I saying
N-
his name right? Shia
yeah,
LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf,
Shia
yeah, not the
LaBeouf.
Rihanna song.
No, no,
No,
not that one. No, have you seen it? It's great.
no, I
Oh,
haven't
it's
seen it. No.
actually good. Right, it's
Disturbia.
the image of it at the front is like he's got like the binoculars and like so basically he's on house arrest as a young like kind of school guy. And he starts
Yeah,
watching his neighbours because there's not a lot else to do. And then he gets this beautiful neighbour gal that moves in, and there's like the love interest, but then there's like something kind of sinister going down. It's quite a good movie.
interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. 2007, if you're wanting to know time frame.
God, yeah. So I obviously went to the cinema before that, but
Mhm.
that's the one that I remember kind of like really enjoying the experience.
Cool. Yeah, I'll add it to the list. I'll check it out. What are you watching now? Have you got like a TV show on rotation? What have you been checking out recently?
Oh, I'm watching like the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
The real drama. You know what I mean? The
I'm
real stuff.
living for it, honestly. I actually love it. I wish I said something more profound. Like, I pure love Killian Murphy and all that. And like, but the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is where it's at. It's so much fun. They're just crazy humans. And I'm just like looking at the house. He's been like,
One
one
day,
day I'm going to have that, and I can't wait. Not because I've done a big movie in Hollywood. So
right? As an actor, we're going to get there someday. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to see like Barbie and
Yeah,
Oppenheimer at the cinema? What do you think?
I've not seen Oppenheimer yet. I'm definitely need to check it out because I do love Kelly Murphy. But yeah, Barbie was great. It was just great fun.
Great
At
fun.
first, like when I was looking at all the reviews and stuff, I was like, oh, I don't like. I just want to go and have fun and not feel like this big kind of agenda or anything like
Yep.
that with it. And there really wasn't. Like it was lovely the way it was kind of put out there. And yeah, I think it was really good fun. And I think Ryan Gosling is like the funniest man ever. He is hilarious. Like I just think he's brilliant. And I think like everyone for Halloween is going to be like Barbie and Ken,
That's
which
it.
I might get on board with too. Sounds good.
That's it. And then there's going to be one person that's going to be dressed up as Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer.
Yeah, yeah. Did you like Barbie?
Yeah, totally. It's the sort of film that I'm just sitting thinking like it's so much fun. Like I had a great time watching the film.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was a lovely message. I also know the film wasn't made for me, right? So I'm
Hmm.
not getting offended about stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
people are just so angry about it, and that. I know it's had, as you
Hmm.
say, like people are the reviews about it being having like an agenda and stuff, and
Hmm.
oh, I hate the fact I'm a man and all that stuff. And I was like, that's
Hmm.
not the point. That's not what they were doing at all.
Yeah, I
So
didn't
yeah,
feel like that at all. I felt it was really like pointing out the equality for men and women, and that's what I took from it. So I was like, okay,
yeah.
yeah, that was just a good fun, feel good. Margot Robbie is like the most beautiful looking woman ever, isn't she? Like, I'm so glad they pointed that out in the movie, saying like, um, oh God, my lights just went out. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's funny to say about her flaws that when she's playing Barbie, and then we're like, we do realize it's Margot Robbie, the most beautiful woman in the world.
yeah.
But she really is like mesmerizing to just look at, I think.
It's actually a great way to describe it because oh my god, you're right. That was my favorite part of the whole film when like she was going to ugly cry, and it's just
Yeah,
it went
yeah,
zoom and just stopped, and it was like, who's it, Helen Mirren? She was like,
yeah,
note to filmmakers, Margot Robbie was the wrong person to cast in this film.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
That was so funny. The soundtrack was great. I thought,
Yeah.
um, yeah, no, I totally loved it. You ever been in the cinema and like you're sitting watching a film and you're just having the best time and you think, oh man, this has been so good, so worth the money, so worth the 2 hours, and then you
Yeah.
leave and then everybody either you see online or the people you're with like totally hated it. Has that ever happened?
Yeah, sometimes I always have like different opinions from my friends when we go to see it, and you're just
Yeah,
like, oh, we just like had the same experience, but not really. Like you just didn't enjoy it at all.
I know. I just feel so silly sometimes. You know what I mean? I'm like, is my opinion wrong? Like,
Nah.
is my opinion invalid? Um,
I just
yeah,
went to see Saw X like two
right.
days ago. I don't know if you're interested in Saw or anything like that.
Never seen him. No.
It's just ridiculous. It's just so gory. It is so unbelievably gory, and like there's only so many ways I think they can like kill people or like rip parts of their body off. And like
Yeah.
I was just watching it and I'm like pure stuff in my face with pick and mix and all that, and it's just disgusting. Like the stuff that they're doing to people's bodies, and I'm like, why am I sitting watching this? It's
Right.
starting to question like why am I? I'm here for enjoyment, and like the cinema was pure. Like there was no like gasps or anything. I mean, there was like these disgusting things happening,
Yeah.
like eyeballs getting removed and stuff like that. And no one was like, "Oh God!" Like it was just pure like munching. Everyone was eating
It
as
was
if
just like, yeah,
like
this is normal. We're having a good day.
yeah. So I'm like, what? I don't think we're shocked by much anymore.
No, we're definitely not. We're definitely desensitized to everything. And it shows you like the type of film that was called a horror back in the day. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because people were more kind of sensitive to stuff. And but obviously society as a whole was probably more sensitive. But we've seen everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
In films and stuff. My favorite film of all time is Jaws, from
brilliant.
1975. And it was considered a horror at the time. It was rated 18, and
Yeah,
now, like, it's not considered a horror, it's a thriller now. It's a 12. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's totally different, and I don't understand why. Um, what's your ideal kind of cinema experience then? Because obviously you're saying there was no big gasps and stuff, whereas I would prefer nothing happening around me so I can fully concentrate because other people kind of
Yeah.
distract me. I think I don't know.
I like when people are like communally laughing and stuff like that, like
Yeah,
it's a theatre experience, but I hate when people are talking or like people that get like really annoyed about if you like whisper to your friend or something. I'm not like a pure talker or anything like that. I hate that if you go with someone that's pure chatting away.
yeah,
But like just people having the pure awareness of you being there, like if you open a crisp poke, everyone's pure raging. Like it's like just trying to enjoy myself. We were sitting there, it was at View Cinema. So you've got like so much leg room and it's just I think it's brilliant.
yeah.
We're sitting having our food and this couple walked up halfway through and we were right at the edge and the guy like stumbled and nearly like collapsed on top of his. We're like, like, so that was probably the scariest part of the whole
Of the
film.
film.
What's just happened? A man just nearly landed on our laps. Like, what the hell? So yeah, I think keeping yourself to yourself, but like communally laughing and sharing the experience is quite good.
Yeah. The worst one I've ever had was the sequel to Creed. And it was a really, really like intense moment. Like I'm sitting there literally like gripping like the edge of my seat. Like I'm so like into this film, sweat pouring off me and stuff. He's like about to kick up and go back and be a boxer. And then the guy behind me's phone rang
Oh
and
no.
he answered the phone and was like, "Hi, yeah, oh no, I'm not busy." And just had a full
No
conversation.
way.
It's just like the climax of the film. Not
What?
even like early on in the film. Like it was so yeah, that was the worst one I've ever had.
That's are people that unaware? Like that is ridiculous behavior.
So yeah, so I actually to pick a favorite film, and we went with The Evil Dead, the Sam Raimi version from 1981.
Yeah.
1981. So I'd never seen it before. I'm not a horror guy,
Mhm.
but I watch horrors. I'll enjoy them and that sort of thing. But I'm not. I feel like it is like a total subgenre, like not a subgenre, but like a whole like a massive fandom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As compared to other genres of film,
Yeah.
this has the most kind of like there's cults and there's clubs and there's
Yeah.
societies and stuff on horror
Definitely.
films. What is it about horror films that you like, and what is it about like 80s? I'm going to assume it's 80s ones that you enjoy the most.
Yeah. Um, I just like being scared, I think. Don't know, like that sounds really weird. Not like in real life, like I don't want somebody to like come and scare me or anything, but I mean, yeah, like that like out of controlness. Because like I love going to all the horror walkthroughs and stuff like that where people are like
Okay.
jumping in like I pure live for that kind of
No,
thing.
I
Like
couldn't. There's
it's
no
just
way I could do
ridiculous.
it.
I don't know. Because it's so bad at the time, but then after you're like,
Oh,
oh my God, that was a pure buzz. So no, I always watched the gory ones and the 80s ones, and I liked them because it was like the pure like horror movie heroes. Like so like Ash is
yeah,
like the hero of Evil Dead, but like Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers and the Clown and all that. Oh my God, like amazing.
right.
And I liked that there wasn't much CGI used in a lot of them. Like they all used prosthetics and stuff. So I thought that was so cool. Um, so anytime now there's like a remake or a retelling and they use CGI, I'm like, oh God, why? Like, because
Right.
if you don't need to. Um, so yeah, I always liked I was more into the gore stuff when I was younger, and now I kind of don't like that, and I like the ghost and the kind of psychological stuff because I'm
Okay.
like, you can run from a serial killer, but you can't run from a ghost in the
Great
same
line.
way.
Great line. That'll be the social media post for this week. Thank you.
Oh God. They'd be like, she's pure wacky, like think she'll like, believe in ghosts and all that. I don't even know if I do believe in ghosts, but I'll have nightmares tonight now that I've
There
said
you
that.
go. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I appreciate about the kind of 80s, 70s kind of
Hmm.
horror films, even some of the early 90 ones. Just the kind of the physical aspect of it, you know what I mean? Like it's not all mad CGI that you see these days. And don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
I appreciate the CGI. Like I understand it's now where technology is and it's
Mhm.
great and it's created jobs for people and all that stuff. But when it's done right, it's amazing. But
Yeah.
also when these physical effects, practical effects are done brilliantly, it's so cool and you appreciate it a little bit more. I appreciate the effort. Again, Jaws is my
Yeah.
favorite film. It's all, a mechanical shark that, they managed to
Yeah.
do. They had so many problems with, but they created this amazing film for it. So I appreciate that appreciate the effort.
Yeah.
But yeah, the eerie creepiness of the kind of 80s decade, I guess.
And
Um,
like the humor with it as well. It's so
yeah,
like ridiculous and like sometimes like dirty humor. Not in a like I mean dirty as in like, oh my God, like how are you
yeah,
even saying that right now when there's this situation happening? Like vulgar, like Freddy Krueger is just like this Comic Con icon now, like
yeah,
for his like ridiculousness when he's like killing people. It's
yeah.
just mad.
Well, that's what's happening. People are just dying. There's blood everywhere and that sort of thing. But it's
Yeah,
beloved.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, so like it starts off. The film starts off and it's like the kind of handheld. The camera's kind of like going through the kind of woods and over this weird kind of lake and that sort of thing. It's all misty and stuff, and immediately sets the tone. Immediately is
yeah,
like, I know exactly what I'm in for here. And it probably was. It was. I don't know how many times you've seen this film, right? But like, this was my first time watching it, so I had no idea what to expect. Obviously, I knew The Evil Dead, right?
yeah.
And I've seen posters and I've got friends that love it and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
But I've never seen any clips from it. Like I didn't know what it was. Like I didn't know if it was a vampire film, a zombie
Yeah, yeah.
film, a ghost film. I didn't know.
You're
So
so lucky to have had that experience because, like, I was just thinking about you this week, being like, oh my God, he's going to watch this now in this day and age right now and be like, what the hell is wrong with her? Like,
no, not at all. But that's what I mean. Like I'm one of those people that isn't going to judge it because of like it's 1981 or whatever. Like I'm going
yeah,
to
yeah,
appreciate it, you know. Um,
yeah,
and it started off like that, and I was like, okay, I know exactly what this is going to be. I didn't quite expect it to be as gory as it was.
yeah.
Um, especially the last half hour.
Hmm.
It's just crazy. All the
It is.
goriness. Yeah.
It's kind of like a slow starter as well, like that one, the
Yeah.
original. I loved it when I was younger because like it was so fun and it was like so theatrical and ridiculous and like so
Yeah.
they turned it into a musical. I don't know if you know that as well.
Really?
Like, so it was at the time it was kind of clashing with Rocky Horror Picture Show or something I think. But yeah, so I mean I wish that I could ever see like the musical. That'd be so cool.
Mm.
But yeah, so it's like a slow starter and then when it gets going, it just does not let up. It's just nuts.
No.
Like it's ridiculous. It's so good.
I mean, there's so many characters that are just unbothered, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, for example, when she's locked in the cellar thing, right,
Yeah,
under the floorboards, but like the doors like still kind of raised a little bit, so she's still like in the
yeah,
room. You know what I mean? They're still talking to her and stuff. She's just like sitting there chilling out. This is their friend that has
yeah.
become this thing, you know, possessed by this demon. Which
And Bruce
again,
Campbell looks like some of his reactions, he's like pure fresh faced and like there's a pure crazy zombie demon thing like coming at him and his
he's so
face is just
handsome.
not yeah. He looks pure clean shaven and like fine. And then
Yeah.
later on he gets a wee bit more like messed up and covered in blood and stuff.
Like when the blood's kind of like pouring on his face and stuff like that, you know, it kind of adds to the kind of scariness of it, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you can just imagine, though, as you say about the kind of the things that were scary back in the day, you can imagine people seeing this in the cinema just like screaming,
Yeah.
just seeing the blood and like all over people's faces and stuff like that, and the biting of the limbs and stuff. I thought that
Yeah.
looked really good actually. Like she's biting his arm off or whatever it was in his hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it looked really
I
good
did make
actually.
like a lot of it still makes me go, oh, like the kind of like the stabbing of the ankle with the pen and all
Yeah,
that.
that's what I mean. Yeah,
But that's still looks disgusting and makes you like cringe. But then at the end, when it's the kind of like Play-Doh, like when they're all like kind of
right.
morphing and disappearing, I was like, okay, this is where it's like took a turn. That's
But see, that's the difference though, because like no one can relate to, you know, your face melting, right?
yeah,
Unless you go to Tenerife in July or something, right?
yeah, true.
Whereas if you're when you're stabbed in the ankle with a pen, everyone's kind of like been stabbed by a pen or a pencil or something. So it's like
Mhm.
you can relate to it a little bit more, obviously not to the extreme. I hope.
Yeah, everyone feels it though. For some reason, it's like there's parts of your body that are like, ah, God, like
You
you
know what
can
I mean?
feel it.
You'd know how sore that would be, you know?
Yeah.
So it kind of stays with you a bit more, I guess. And there's something about abandoned like cabins and
Hmm.
abandoned sheds and stuff. Like I've got a shed at the back garden that we never touch. You know what I mean? So like, what happens if someone's just going to be living in there? And you know what I mean? And I feel like
The
that's
Book
one of
of the
the.
Dead in there.
I don't know. I really hope not. But just like there's the kind of abandoned cabin that this group of young people go to this cabin for the weekend, you know, to drink, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's like it's in a lot of kind of scary films though, right? That's kind of like the subplot that they go to this abandoned cabin,
Yeah.
you know?
Like that's kind of what I live for, the ridiculousness of like all the tropes of like they go to the cabin and then it's like, oh, I'll just go check outside by myself. Like,
Right.
okay, you're definitely going to die. I'm going to like have sex and like take drugs and drink while you're dead. Like I live for all those like silly things that always kind of the rules that it follows. Um, but with the Evil Dead, like I think it's normally like a female lead that you're kind of rooting for. And
Okay.
I think they kind of said at the time it was they thought that that was a bad move having like a male protagonist in it that is going to survive all this.
Yeah.
Because I can't really think of another male lead in a horror that makes it to the end. Maybe I'm just not thinking,
I'm
but
sure there will be ones out there, but you're right.
there will
Like,
be. Yeah.
yeah, you're right. There is a few that you think is going to be female orientated, but
Hmm.
yeah, no, it's slightly different for this time as well. And it's like it's the girl that is like looking out the window and she's like, "Is something out there?" And she literally goes out and she's literally says, "Is anybody out there?" Like you just
Yeah.
know something's going to happen to her. You know?
Yeah, exactly. She deserves to die for just doing that. Like,
Yeah, dafty. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
why? Look, I mean, it's dark anyway. I wouldn't even go outside if it was dark. There you go.
yeah, exactly.
Silly Billy. Um, I just like the kind of low budget feel to it. The guy I had on the podcast last week, Michael Geary, who's so knowledgeable about like all these horror films, and I'm just not right. I just don't know things about horror films. And I told him, okay, we're going to be doing the Evil Dead next week, and he was saying, oh, so is it Evil Dead 1 or Evil Dead 2? And that's why I texted you. I just wanted to clarify which one, right? So apparently, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but is Evil Dead 2 essentially just like the same film, but they got money, and it's like done with like a good budget as opposed to this one?
I
That's
never
kind of what he said,
no, because well, it's a different plot.
right?
Because when you had said that, I was like, it's not the same movie. How dare you? But like, I don't know. Like in my opinion, it's the story just follows on from where they
Okay,
are. But like the God, it's been so long since I've seen the second one. I want do the same characters come back? I don't know.
I
I'll
don't
need to
know.
rewatch it and think. But like, yeah, it was such a small budget for the first one, and I think it was based off a Sam Rami had done like a small short film, like it was called Something in the Woods or
Okay,
words to that effect, and then they managed to get more money for the first one, but it was very very low budget as you can see. And I think they were the first people to do that kind of handheld, like from
yeah,
the baddie's point of view, maybe.
yeah. And that kind of creepy though when you see the kind of shaky cam, the handheld footage and stuff. Even that kind of makes you a little bit uneasy. You know, you're like
Yeah,
it's something's kind of going to go wrong here. I don't know. I'll need to watch the second one, but I just thought like if it did get a bit of more budget, like how different would it be? Because I think they do still do a good job with what they
yeah,
had. Um, but if it was elevated with more money, I guess it could have been more impactful. I guess, but I don't know. I like it. I like the kind of early 80s
yeah.
feel to it. You know,
I do like the retelling one's worth a watch as well. It's just on Netflix right now.
is it new?
Um, so it was 2013.
Okay.
So it's the Evil Dead, and then they've got the Evil Dead Rise. And they're like, I think it was like the same kind of producers, and like Bruce Campbell was a producer on it because I was like, no, you
Yeah.
can't do the Evil Dead without Ash. And then when I heard he was producing it, I was like, yeah, it's fine. And
Yeah.
it's such a good watch. Like
Okay.
it's a kind of different version of the story. Oh, it's gory and like so much blood. Oh my God, like insane. But it's such good acting as well. So that's a really good one. So.
Okay. That was a spoiler, by the way. So much blood. Now I'm going to go in expecting blood. What you doing?
Well, I mean, I
It's the
think
Evil
with the
Dead.
Evil Dead, you're gonna get that, but yeah, there's a lot of blood.
Good. Um, what? So speaking of like a newer version of the Evil Dead, then what other kind of modern horror films do you like? Is there any recents that have been really good? Because I've seen a few that I quite liked. I'm not a horror guy, and I've seen a few recent ones that have been quite good.
Um, there was like a new Wrong Turn on Netflix that
Okay.
I thought was pretty messed up. It was quite cool because I love all those like the Hills Have Eyes or the Wrong Turn franchise. Um, so that was a cool one. That was like this weird cult situation. And it was pretty disturbing. And I love Scream, and they've got all the kind of new
Right.
ones of them coming out now, which I'm still sticking by. I just love like Wes Craven's screams were brilliant. Like
Yeah.
growing up, pure terrifying, and then now you watch it and you're like, yeah, they're still scary and like quite jumpy and yeah. I'm trying to think what else like brand new. Oh, like I love all like The Conjuring,
Oh yeah.
Insidious and all that. Anything that James Wan does, I'm quite like or James Wan. Don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah, his stuff's really good. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what ones. So I have seen Smile. Did you see Smile?
Bits. Yeah, I got bored. Thought it
Bits.
was
You turned it off.
yeah.
I don't know. I really liked the first half and it got kind of a bit silly for me, but there's something about smiling like that, like in these films that is kind of scary. Like there's a
Yeah,
bit where
yeah.
like obviously the evil dead that takes over and possesses their bodies and stuff, they just sometimes will give them a smile and it is kind of creepy.
Yeah, yeah.
But like there's bits in that film Smile where like they're in the kind of mental institution or whatever and the guy's walking past the rooms and there's just the guy sitting there just with that smile on his face and stuff and it's just so creepy. I think I don't know what it
Yeah.
is.
Definitely
Um,
creepy. I did watch what's that one with a hand? I think is it an Australian one? Talk to me.
okay, I don't
Just
know,
out.
but
And so it's like they hold on to this hand and then it sees into like this evil portal or so you can speak to the dead or whatever. And it was all right. It was a wee bit scary, a wee bit jumpy, but it was like kind of using like social media so that everyone could like the world could see what was happening
Okay,
and stuff like that. So yeah, it was okay. An all right
cool.
watch.
Have you seen Hush? It's
No,
the
but I know that's on
one.
Netflix, isn't it?
I think it's a def, and it's on Netflix. It's a really good one. I thought that was really good, and also Don't Breathe was another one I
Yeah,
thought
I've
was
seen
really
Don't
good.
Breathe because the gal that's in Don't Breathe is the actress in the retelling of Evil Dead.
Nice.
She's
Okay,
in
cool.
that. So aye, that must be Sam Raimi as well.
Don't
Don't
Breathe,
Breathe.
something maybe. Maybe it is. I'll check.
Yeah, that was. I thought that was quite frightening, and like especially like when you found out what was going on and stuff in the house, it was really, really disturbing actually.
Yeah, it's really creative. I thought. You know what I mean? Let's
I've not
see.
watched the second one yet, but I'm going to give it a go.
So it is Fed Alvarez who does Don't Breathe.
Mm.
Maybe Sam Raimi was a producer. I'm not sure.
Mm.
Yeah, he was. He was a producer. Yeah, he was. Sam Raimi was a producer of Don't Breathe. Um, yeah, I've not seen the second one either, but I really thought that was a cool idea. And also, It Chapter Two,
Love
the,
it.
the new It film or the newest It film. Is that the one where there's the old lady and she smiles really creepily, and she's like naked at one point, and she's doing this like
Yeah.
weird dance towards the camera.
So that's what the CGI in that pure annoyed me because I love like what's his name, Tim Curry.
Tim Curry, yeah,
Tim Curry's version of it like was that petrified me when I was younger
right.
going to sleepovers. Like that was like when the balloon comes out the sink and all that. I was like, that is really, really frightening. That gave me nightmares and stuff. So I loved the remake chapter one because I thought it was very like Stand By Me vibes and
Yeah, it
like
was. Yeah,
really cool.
Stranger
Yeah,
Things. Yeah.
yeah. And then the second one, I think they just got carried away with the CGI a wee bit. Because like with that woman, I was like, that was just ridiculous. It could have been really. It was frightening when she was like naked in the distance. I'm sorry if I'm giving spoilers, but like
It
when
was
she's
though,
like
man.
in, like far away, and you're like, oh, that's a wee bit creepy. But then when she ran like this big troll, I was like, oh, the bloody ruined it.
It's the music that gets me. It's like going do do do
Yeah,
do 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 do. She's
yeah,
like
yeah.
running about and stuff.
Yeah, I could
Um,
hear it as well, just like by talking about it there. But
but
Bill Skarsgård's amazing though.
yeah,
Um,
does a good
and
job.
actually, that's another one. Barbarian.
Not seen it.
Oh my god! Like so the basically the trailer sets it up as like a really cool situation. Like so, it's like an Airbnb. This is what the trailer says, so no spoilers because I
Okay.
think people should watch this one. But like, it's like an Airbnb situation, and she arrives at her Airbnb that she's supposed to be staying at, and a guy answers the door, and he's like, "No, they've booked me," and she's like, "No, I was supposed to be booked," and then he's like, "Well, why don't you come inside and we'll figure this out." And they're in a dodgy neighborhood, so she's kind of like, "Do I stay in with this guy that I've just met, and like, is he really part of the Airbnb or not?" Blah blah blah. So you're like, "Oh, this could be like such a crazy two-hander where you're like,
Yeah.
is he the weirdo? Is she the weirdo? What's going to happen?" But then it just takes this pure mental turn. Like, I don't want to tell you anything about it because I think you should watch it. But like,
Okay.
it's just ridiculous, and I don't even know what I've walked away with it. I'm like, I don't know if that was the best movie or the worst movie.
You've ever seen.
Just ridiculous.
So it's
But
Barbarian.
Barbarian, yeah.
Okay, cool. Go ahead and note it down. That's fine. Is it on Netflix
No, you'll
or
need to like
somewhere?
Prime or something, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's fine. I'll find that. Cool. Have you seen Midsummer?
Yeah,
I thought Midsummer was a great film, right? But
yeah,
you could even class that as horror in some ways as well, like the kind of things they have
yeah,
to go through and stuff. I did not expect it to take such a dark turn. And
yeah,
Florence Pugh, you want to talk about most beautiful people on earth? We're talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
Margot Robbie and Florence Pugh. Oh man.
yeah.
But yeah, I thought
It
that was a
is,
really good one too.
I felt like that whole movie was really unsettling and like
Yeah.
such disturbing moments. I like is Hereditary the second one of that or like
It's not the second one off, but it's kind of I think it's the same sort of director, same companies. Yeah, I've not seen Hereditary either. Um,
yeah.
but that
That's
that
that's
just creeps
the
me out, I
same.
think, the idea of Hereditary.
Yeah. No, it's a good one. And then I just watched X. Don't know if you
Yes, I saw X as well. What did you think?
what the hell did I just watch? I was like I was pure really excited about watching that, and I was actually on tour working at the time, so I watched it with one of the guys on tour, and I was like just watching like softcore porn,
It is.
like,
It's the one that go make the sex film and stuff, and then what sort of happens when they're
and then
there?
it gets so weird, like,
Oh, it's the old family, isn't it? It's the old family. That's right, the old
and I'm
couple.
like. this is just not great. I don't
And
know. It was very strange.
you know how things come full circle and it comes back to the Evil Dead? That film is at an old abandoned cabin.
Yeah,
So
true.
there you go.
Like the trailer sets it up as if it's going to be like a pure gore fest and like, oh my God, this mental horror. And I just I don't think we got that.
I know you're trying to do that, but I don't think it worked.
Yeah. And it's such a cool cast as well.
Yeah,
So,
I enjoyed it, man. I thought it was good, but
yeah.
I mean, it
I
was
don't know
weird.
what, we watched it to the end and I was like, that was weird and creepy and like, I suppose that's what it was supposed to be, but
Yeah.
then strange.
I don't mean to obviously offend you and people like you. I just can't believe people find films like The Evil Dead like as comfort films. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just assuming you do. I don't know the fact you picked this as your favorite one. Maybe you do, but you know the way people just like will wake up in the morning and oh, I couldn't sleep last night, or whatever. I'll just throw in like a comfort film. You know, whether that's like Elf or something really wholesome. And but some people like what you put on The Evil Dead. Like I have people in my life that will be like, yeah, so woke up at 6 this morning and watched The Conjuring. Like I just
Yeah.
can't believe it. Like it's so interesting to me. Like what is it that do you find this one like as a comfort film, or is it other like horror? Is that the kind of your favorite genre that you would watch if you needed
Yeah.
a warm blanket?
Aye, like the silly ones like Hellraiser and
Yeah,
Halloween and all that, they're good fun.
yeah.
So I would use them as comfort ones. The Conjuring, that's quite frightening. So like,
Maybe not.
I don't find them as scary like on the second go and stuff like that, but
Of course.
I would have nightmares with things like that. This like the kind of more psychological or the ghost ones. I wouldn't go to them like alone in a dark night, but I would definitely go to like Freddy Krueger or like Scream or
Yeah,
yeah, Michael Myers, all that jazz.
yeah.
So I guess the serial killer thing is still stands. It's like I'm all right with them,
You're
but the
right with
ghost,
it. Aye, the one that could happen in real life, like that's okay,
yeah,
but the kind of weird ghost ones is kind of scary.
yeah,
What do you make of the ending then of the Evil Dead? The fact that it's not totally obviously I've not seen the sequel, so I don't know what happens, but like it kind of leaves you in a bit like, oh, what happened there, sort of thing.
yeah, yeah. I think it's like leaving it open to be like, okay, this is going to continue. It's not over. And also, I didn't feel like he'd really like conquered the five demons,
Yeah,
um, anyway. So yeah, it was still going to be open to interpretation, and I think that was great because then it's pure set up for the second movie and got everyone excited about the second movie. Although I think in the 80s people were not super excited about a sequel at that point. I think they were
no,
just like, I think it got like called like a video nasty and stuff like that, and
really.
like it didn't do very well in the cinema. But then it was because it went on video. That's where it started becoming popular.
Back in the day when it was VHS tapes.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly.
I'm just on IMDb just now. I'm just looking for Sam Raimi's directorial films. Right, okay, so he directed the new Doctor Strange film, which is totally a Sam Raimi film, by the way. Now you think about it, Ash versus Evil Dead, Oz and the Great Powerful, never seen it. Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, of course.
Yeah,
That's when
I
you
didn't
said
even know that. Um,
that's what I knew him from. I was like, oh, it's you mean the guy from Spider-Man? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
literally that's what it says as well. Everyone's like, you know Sam Raimi from like Spider-Man 1 and 2. And I'm like, no, I know him from The Evil Dead. Like
Yeah. Evil Dead 2, which was 1987. Okay, so a good 6 years after the last one, which is pretty good. Army of Darkness, never seen that one. Um,
yeah. I watched Army of Darkness as a fan, but was like, yeah, I just have to watch this and like it because I'm a fan of the first one. But Army of
yeah,
Darkness is a bit it goes mental. It's a
it goes
bit rogue.
mental. Okay, cool. I'll
Yeah.
take your word for it.
Um the series is good though, Ash versus Evil Dead,
Yeah.
on Netflix. That's cool. And it's Bruce Campbell as well, which is
Is it?
exciting.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's nice. I have heard that before. When you
Yeah.
said, "Oh, talking about Ash in the film," I was like, "Oh, that's the guy from Ash versus Evil Dead."
Yeah.
All right. So this is the Good Bit podcast. What is the best bit or your favorite bit of the Evil Dead?
Hmm.
It's the $1 million question.
I think it's the moment where his girlfriend character's like floating and like
Yeah,
all smiling and laughing and like it's just pure shifted and he's just like, what is going on here? They're all just like lost the plot.
that was quite scary, you know, when she's just like levitating like Dua Lipa. You know what I mean? Like she was just like, I don't know, like she's just up in the air and then she like, oh, it was a bit when she first kind of like turns into the demon and her head kind of like pops to the side. You know, when you see your eyes for the first time, like I thought that was pretty scary. I didn't expect that, you know.
And then he's like punches her. That's pretty scary as well. Like, that actually was like, like, can you imagine seeing that now in a movie? Like, my God. But like, yeah, he's just like pure like, like, yeah, punching her lights out. So that's not the best bit, but like, it's one of the most ridiculous parts, I'd say.
Is your favorite bit?
Yeah.
What about the bit with the tree? That was scary.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought it up because I was like, how do we even talk about that? Because like, so in the retelling they do the tree bit, but like it's done differently, and I think it makes more sense in the retelling of why it happens.
Okay.
So basically in the original, I think she's being assaulted
right
by a tree.
by a branch, yeah.
Yes. And it's horrific, and like the way that they film it and stuff is so like of that time with women in horror. I don't know, so it's a bit weird and uncomfortable. Whereas, and then it's never referenced again. That's it. Like, so was the demon part of the forest? Was it taking over the forest? Was that a separate character? Because that's the bit I remember most, and that I think that's the bit that people talked about most when it first came out. About the tree thing.
Yeah. I mean, as you say, it's obviously filmed very all the time, like, so it happens, and then like it cuts to her face and stuff, and like it's so weird, like it's shot in such a weird moment. And I didn't, when I was watching that, I was like, okay, so the tree is coming to life and stuff, and wrapping itself round and stuff, and I just didn't expect it. It kind of caught me off guard because obviously I'd never seen it. I was like, whoa. And obviously, again, I've not seen the other films, so I don't know if they kind of bring it up again. Is this the only time that there is a tree assault in the films?
Well, in the retelling, they have the tree capturer as well.
Okay.
But to me, it makes sense in the retelling because it looks like that is what the demon is coming through to get to her.
Right, that makes sense.
The demon then enters her body via the tree branch rather than a tree just having its way with someone in the 80s. I don't know.
Someone in the 80s.
The rape of the tree rape essentially.
Yeah, jeez.
Is what it seems like it is in the first one, but in the retelling, it's like that's the demon entering her body and then possessing her. So, because sometimes when the demons enter the body, it's like it's either via like sick in their mouth or
goes through the eyeballs or whatever. Yeah.
So that way, she's like that's the demon entering the body, I think. But that's very not clear in the original. And apparently, the shot where the branch goes like fast, like in the original, she didn't know that was going to happen.
Oh.
And then seen it in the cinema. So I don't know how they would have shot that without her knowing that was going on. But so yeah, that's a bit problematic. But I didn't, when you watched this years ago, you're just like, yeah, this is like my favorite horror. It's so ridiculous.
That's what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And then now when you bring it into the cruel light of day, you're like, oh, okay.
The tree, either the tree or Sam Rami would be cancelled.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. Rightfully so.
100%, yeah.
People would branch out and sorry.
Hey.
Shouldn't make a joke in this sort of time.
Leave the situation.
I was going to say leave me alone, but I didn't know if it would land as well, but you just nailed it, so that was good.
Yeah.
You stumped me. Right. So we'll move on. I enjoyed it anyway. I'm definitely very happy I finally watched the film because it's been on my list for ages as like kind of classic cult, horror film that I've known so many people that I've been a fan of and never seen. So that's kind of the point of the podcast for me. I'm getting a chance to finally like watch these films for a reason. So glad you picked one that I hadn't seen before. So I really enjoyed it.
And quite fitting for October as well. Like
I was going to say, we're doing kind of horror-y kind of films in October. We did The Thing last week. We're doing The Evil Dead this week. I'm watching the Twilight films for the first time.
Oh no.
And I've got 2 parts of Breaking Dawn now to go. You can imagine my reaction when I saw it was 2 parts. Enjoying it's weird because, as I say, I'm not a horror guy. But when it comes to October, I do try and make, let's try and watch some. You know what I mean? Like, just because I'm never going to watch it any other time of the year.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas films. You have to watch them in December. When out, you're not going to watch Elf in March. Come on.
Exactly.
So,
have you seen Hocus Pocus?
Yeah.
That's like one of my favourite movies of all time as well. And like that is just the perfect Halloween movie.
Yeah, I didn't see the
It's
second
just
one.
so
Didn't see the second
good.
one, but
It was good. It was
I
good.
like it.
But like I had waited for the second one for so long because my childhood, like when the first one ends and the book's eyes opens and like looks around, I was like, you think as a child, like, oh my God, they're going to do a second, and then they didn't for so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, brilliant movie. Such a good Halloween film.
Anything else coming out soon that you're looking forward to that you can think of? I know it's probably a hard question, but
Oh, I don't know.
let's
Not
have a look.
particularly. Anything that you know of that I could
I'm
think
usually
of?
quite good with this stuff, but I've not been in the cinema really in so long. I used to go every week, but upcoming film releases, I just saw one called Dumb Money in the cinema,
Mm,
with Sebastian Stan and Paul Dano and others like that, which was interesting. Not my favourite
I
film.
think there's a new Exorcist film coming out as well soon, which
Yes, there
might be good.
is. The Exorcist Believer is
Yeah.
coming out soon. We also have Dune Part 2. We have
Mm.
Wonka with Timothy
Oh, don't
Chalamet
know how I
Bing.
feel about that.
Nah, it's not really. I mean, the trailer looks okay.
Yeah,
I've just got this thing, man. Like, why are we just? Can we not just make some new films?
I know. I didn't really want to see like the remake of Charlie and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and
Yeah,
then they made him kind of evil, and then this one I think he's making him like really nice and sweet again. So I'm just like, oh no, just leave it where it was.
it's just. I feel like it just annoys me. There's always something two, something three.
Hmm.
You're like, there's always a sequel, and every so often you'll get like a really original film, and it's like it goes down so well, and it's like the only one of the whole year. I think that's why I liked Midsummer so much. I thought it was so original. You know what I mean? I thought it
Yeah,
was really
no,
good.
it really was actually.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you so much. That was so much fun. I really enjoyed myself.
I mean, apart from some technical difficulties, I think it was pretty smooth. Pretty
Yeah,
smooth.
no, it was great.
You
And
are well. Sorry, go on. I mean, you were going to say
no,
something
I
nice there, and
was
I interrupted you. Sorry.
I was just going to talk a lot of rubbish, but yeah, because I'm sure not really a film buff, but like I just like to watch things. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? And I love horror movies. So if you ever have any good horror movies, please send them my way because it's a struggle to find some good ones these days as well.
that sounds good. And any recommendations you've got, please send them my way as well. I'm always looking to watch new stuff. And you're welcome back anytime. Anytime you want to come back and
Yeah,
talk about another film, maybe even Evil Dead 2, maybe next Halloween.
yeah. I'm just picturing you having to watch that now, being like, this
One a
is so
year. I'll watch one a year,
yeah,
right? Then we'll do it on the
yeah.
podcast.
Okay,
Thanks so
no, sounds
much.
good.
Thanks so
Thank
much for
you.
coming on, and thanks for listening, everybody. Take care of yourselves. We'll catch you all down the road.
Citizens